Hello. If you're listening, if you're out there, let me know if my audio is too quiet, too loud. It looks alright on OBS, so hopefully it's okay for you guys. Wait for a few more people to join in and we'll hopefully get started with some chat or some questions or whatever. Hello Syed, how are you? How's it going, mate? Good. Good. Right, what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm just going to start looking at doing some basic web scraping whilst people are still joining in or whatever. So I'm going to do what I started at trying to do before, and there was a website called Fastest Laps. I'm just going to basically do some simple request and beautiful soup web scraping on here. So I think if we were to go to hi Azza, how's it going, mate? Hope you're well. If we go down here, and I'm going to pick let's pick Monza for the sake of it. Hopefully we've got some good results on here. No details on that, but that'll do. Oh cool, we got some F1 drivers on here, of course, Monza. So I'm going to take the URL and I'm going to import requests, and from BS4 I'm going to import beautiful soup. And then I'm going to put my URL as this, and I'm going to do r is equal to requests.get, and I'm going to give it my URL that we just specified. Can I scrape some difficult sites? Yes, I can. I'm going to do this one first, and then we can do some render some dynamic sites. We'll do some JavaScript scraping after this. I'm just going to quickly do this one whilst I'm here. I wanted to do this one last time. Cool. So my user agent will send a real user agent this time. Let's copy that, and we'll do headers is equal to user dash agent. We'll paste our string in. We want to put this above here, and then we'll do headers equal to headers. And let's print r.status code just to make sure what we're doing is working. I've messed up the end. Here we go. Has this gone on to a different line? There we go. Cool. So let's have a look at the source code of the table, I believe. If we search for, what I like to do is if we take a unique sort of specific bit of data, search for it in here, we'll find the rest of the information. So this is a table, and we can see the table class is here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to do set our soup variable. So soup is equal to beautiful soup, and then give it r.content, and then do the HTML parser, and then we can do table is equal to soup.find, and we can say it's a table with a class of that. Perfect. So now I've got that. Let's do print the table out, and hopefully we get a load of data back. We do. So now we want to do, where are we? Let's do t-body. That might be easier. Let's see if doing this we get the same information. Hello Sheb, how's it going? I think you were here last time, mate. Welcome back. Cool. So because we've only got one table on this page, actually going for the t-body straight away found the information that we're after. So that makes it a lot easier for us. So now we can just do a real basic loop, and we can do for row in table. And then we can loop through each row, which is, if we're in the t-body up here, the row is here, and then we can go into each of the sort of cells, if you like. I forget what TD actually stands for. So we could do, let's print the row first. So for every row that we're printing out, we see this is the table row. We get all of these cells, so we can just find each of these cells and just get the information out. So let's just say we wanted to get to replicate this table, and just say let's get the driver and the time. So the driver would be 1 0 1 2. So we would go 2, I think. That should give us, oh no, we're not in there yet, are we? Hello Stephen, how's it going? Another name I think I recognise. I remember you you emailed me last time. Cool, so let's do for row in table. Print row.find. Let's find the TD tags. I said it was 4. I'm half paying attention. Print that. What am I doing? I don't know, I'm not paying attention. Find all, of course. Now that should work. Nope. No, find all, okay. That's right, yeah, I remember now. Yeah, that was an interesting one that you sent me, actually. I was quite, I did enjoy that a little bit. Hello, Amin. I think that's how I say your name. How I say your name. Welcome, guys. It's good to see you starting to come in. I was a little bit worried I was going to be sat here on my own for a bit. So, has anybody got questions? I'm happy to take some questions if you like. If you've got any sites that you've been looking at scraping, what libraries should we focus on for scraping? The first ones you need to know, the main one you need to know inside out is, yeah, that's how we say it, good. The main one you need to know inside out is requests, definitely. There's so much more to it than just the basic things. Because if you look at what I've done here, this is such a basic part, but it does so much more than that. It's so big that even the actual Python documents, the main ones, tell you to use requests. But if we look at I'll make this full screen so we can see. If we look at the docs, it does so much more. You can actually like log into things with it. You can send all of the different sort of HTTP requests, so like create, read, update, delete. You can send that all over requests as well, which is quite cool. It's something that I've actually not done an awful lot of. I've used it to log into a few sites before, but that's about it really. But one of the things that I found that I used the other day, which was quite cool, was, if I can find out where it is, was how you can use it to do proxies quite easily. So this was quite cool. So if you have a proxy list, you can just pass it into your request with proxies is equal to proxies, and you can loop through all of your. It will take that proxy list and you'll be able to use it here. Sorry, the dictionary, but you can make a list and you can use these, which is quite cool. I've been working on a video for rotating proxies in Python. I've got it to a point where I've got all the code done and everything, but the main problem I've got at the moment is that all the free proxies that you can get are basically abused. So they're all blocked. They're all blocked. Requests, the main requests library, so you would use requests to send HTTP requests over Python. Request-HTML is another good one. That's the one that has the render for JavaScript in it. That's definitely worth learning. I use that one quite a lot. Selenium I use a lot less, only because Selenium's mainly for testing. It's browser automation, it's for testing. I use it a lot less for scraping because it's really slow, and if you have to scrape with Selenium, then, well, you absolutely can, but it's just not as good. I found that only a basic knowledge of Beautiful Soup is really required. It's just an HTML parser. I barely use anything other than find and find all. I know a few of the other ones, but I don't really use it. Show us how to get over some captures when scraping. Well, that is a good question, and that's quite difficult. Some of them are really, really hard. I haven't actually looked at that an awful lot, especially now that there's the Cloudflare one. That's just so difficult to break. So that is a real sort of. They're designed to stop web scraping basically into bots, so they do a pretty good job of it. Unfortunately, I'm sure there are ways around, but it's quite specific and quite unique. It's definitely something I want to get to learning to see if I can get through them. Other web scraping libraries that I've used. There are some sites where a click is required. I'm not sure if you can do a click with request HTML. Let's find out. Let's go to the documents. So let's see, can we async, etc., etc. Pagination, using without, no, we want that. I'm not sure we can do a click. We might be able to execute the script, maybe. I don't think there is a there's no click because that's browser specific. That's a good question. I'll need to look into that before. I think we did we talk about that before last time round? Getting it to execute a script because that's not the right button. So we can do. It might be something like this. If you can find the script that is loaded when you do the click, if you can find the script, you might be able to render your page and then actually activate the click script. That could be well worth having a look at. So what we could do here, so if you look at this example on the docs on the document page, we've got start here. So we're importing it, and we're giving it a the URL, and we're finding the script on the page. And then when we do the HTML.render, which is the main part that I always tend to focus on, we could actually say that we want to render this script at the same time. So if the click is a script, we could do it this way, and reload false. I guess that just means it stops it doing it again, and then we could actually access the HTML that way. So that might be quite cool to look at. I'll have to have a think about that one. Hopefully that's a good way to do it. What have you guys been working on at the moment? Anything? Have you been got any personal projects that you're working on, or anything else? Let's have a look in here, see if there's anything else. Where are the rest? Async rendering, that's quite cool. What are dynamic, static, and JavaScripted websites? I'm learning. Always learning, mate. Always. I'm learning. We're all learning. It moves so fast. There's so much stuff out there. And it's odd because when I look back at some of the scraping scripts that I run regularly or reasonably regularly, or even ones that I've sort of did for a specific thing, I go back at it after even a month, and I look at it and go, oh no, I could make that better. I could make that better. I think that's just the way it is. But do you know what? I tend to just leave them because they work. So I leave them like that because it's kind of like you have to mark a project finished at some point. Otherwise, you just continually changing the same thing over and over again. Dynamic, static, and JavaScript websites. So when I say a static website, what I mean is a website where when you load it in your browser, you send a request via HTTP to the server, and the server sends you back the HTML page, and it's just loaded on your browser like that. And then nothing else changes. So it doesn't matter if the only thing that will change is if you click a link. If you click on a link and it takes you to the next page, nothing else. So they're really easy. Static pages is just so easy to scrape because it's all HTML. You can just do it in really quickly and in beautiful shape with requests. It's nice and easy. Dynamic sites are ones that, when I say that, I mean sites that use JavaScript generally because it's the most popular for the web. And you just, what it does is that your browser doesn't actually load the page. It basically sends, it kind of like, trying to explain what I mean. It asks for the information on your sort of thing. So you click on something and it pulls it all up, or all the information is stored on the server, and the JavaScript, your browser interprets the JavaScript information and then displays that how it's interpreted. So it's like you don't get sent everything. Your browser just kind of picks up the script, executes it, and then the JavaScript works and pulls what it needs from the web server, and then that is displayed in a certain way. Web scraping with LMXL. As in, what do you mean by LMXL? Like the as in the I use LMXL as a parser in Beautiful Soup sometimes. Use that one or the HTML parser. Or do you mean actual LMXL, which I'm not entirely sure what that means. Feature rich. Yeah. Can we scrape one table using request HTML? Yeah. So if you've got like a JavaScript, a script table, or a dynamic table, or just HTML. So basically, if you're using when you use request HTML, it basically runs the browser in the background for you and just renders the page using the browser. So all the scripts are executed, and then you can a dynamic. So if you've got an example, I can show you. There's one I remember looking at before. I think it was I can't remember exactly. The problem with those sorts of tables is that it's when you click on like the next button and it loads it up. It's hard to get that sometimes. I generally always will be able to find where the data is coming from at the sort of like the API endpoint on that. So I find that much easier. If I see what I mean. I'm trying to remember the website though. I think it was like an exploit website. If you've got a link, let me know. I don't know if YouTube will block you from posting links. What was it called? Was it Exploit DB or something? Oh yeah, this was it. So this was it's loading. This is a website that has a load of like exploit information. So like when parts of a website are vulnerable, they come on here. They won't let me to zoom in for some reason. But we can see that if we go to the source, there's no actual load it up. So if we were to, there's no actual like information I don't think in here, unless this is a different website that I'm thinking of. So this is just like the filtering options. And then we have the functions. The best way to do it is always to try and see Amazon question. Cool, I'll come back to that in a second. Is always to go to the inspect browser. Oh, not that one, inspect. And I'll give you this, and we can see then. So if we hover over it, it looks like it should be a table, but I guarantee you this information won't actually be in the source code, unless I'm thinking of a different website. No, it's not in the source code. It's all loaded via the script. So if you go network, XHR, reload the page, you can really quite often find the JSON data where it's getting all the information from. So that is basically the whole thing. And that's the response to it. So we can just mimic this request. I did that on my last live stream, which is quite cool. That's really quite a cool way to go. To be honest, if it's not an HTML website, always go here first. Always try and see if you can find out where the information is coming from on the API, because it's just so much easier to get. It's so much easier to get out. You don't have to worry about loading a browser or anything like that. It's much easier. I'm trying to scrape Amazon. Am I a freelancer? Not at the moment, no. I have a 9-to-5 job, of which I use Python to... I'm not a Python developer. I use it to automate my tasks. And because the company I work for is all web-based, I use a lot of the things that I teach in my day-to-day job. In fact, when I sort of come across a problem that I want to solve, it might mean that I learn something new and then I pass it on to you guys. Trying to scrape Amazon beautiful. I'm facing an issue capturing seller name because Amazon has multiple sellers. Okay. Well, if it's multiple sellers, that should be pretty easy to find. Oh gosh, why am I getting this? I'm late. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm going to upload all this at the end anyway. But just join in now, man. Join in now. I'm not sure what product I'll be able to find. There's some interesting ones being recommended. Multiple sellers. This is my go-to product for testing Amazon, because this is the camera I want to buy, but I don't have the money for at the moment. Multiple sellers. Is that when you can buy it from lots of different people? Maybe give me a product as an example. We can have a quick look at it. Welcome to the new people that are joining. Please join in, start talking. We've got, I'm open to questions, or we can look at sites that you're interested in, or we can just talk about web scraping in general. We can talk about Python, all good. So I can find one that's got multiple sellers. So you mean like maybe in here? I mean, that comes in a different page though. I don't know. So I'm thinking about my next few videos. One of them will be. Also, by the way, if you watch the video on Google Sheets, let me know what you thought. I wasn't totally sure about that one, but I think it's quite cool and quite useful. So I was thinking maybe what I would do, if anyone is interested, is move slightly off the slightly away from web scraping for one specific video, and move on to like showing you guys how you can run your web scraping scripts on a Linux server, like in the cloud or on your Raspberry Pi or something like that. So that's quite cool, because then you can just leave it going and you can scrape something every day, and you can actually start to build up useful data maybe, or you can get it to do something for you, which is quite nice. So let me know if you think that's useful. That'd be quite cool. It's something that I started doing a little while ago. I had a use for it in my job where I needed to check something over and over again. So I built up a script to just basically check a load of products on her website every day and let me know if any were new or if something had changed. It does involve database work though, which is a bit of a pain because, I mean, SQL is SQL, and learning that is a bit of. It's not difficult. It's just not. I don't know. I don't particularly like it that much, but it serves a purpose. So I was thinking about doing that. I've also got. I still need to release my concurrent futures video, which was sort of really speeds up some of your basic web scraping, which is so cool. So that's going to come out soon as well. I think I'll do that as a Wednesday video. Can you tell us the use of web scraping in IT industry? Yeah, so I think basically anywhere that sort of, if we take web scraping as a bit more of a broad term and not so like niche down. So if you think about stuff that we probably want to scrape, we're probably just scraping like, I don't know, something for personal use. But if you think wider than that, so any kind of comparison website needs to get their information from somewhere. So you get people that make websites that sort of like, let's take flight prices. If you wanted to incorporate something that revolved around, actually that's a really bad example for now because not many people are flying, but okay, something that revolved around that, you would need to get that data from somewhere. Now, to get information like that changes so often, you're probably going to have to end up, either it's not available or you're going to have to pay somebody an awful lot of money to get access. But what you can do is you could scrape the data from, let's say, 5 different websites, like, I don't know, different airlines or Google Flights or something. And you could then use that and incorporate that into your own app. Things like that. If you think along those sorts of lines, it's basically getting that data and doing something with it that incorporates it with maybe some other data or something a bit more to make it a bit more unique. Many gurus say that you need to do what you like. Is this what you like in life? This is I like that question. Is this what I like? In a way, yeah. I enjoy doing this. I like making videos. I mean, I use Python a lot anyway. I'm by no means an expert in it, but I think I've got a good understanding of like all the basics and everything. I enjoy writing code. I was actually quite late to coding in life. You definitely should do what you like doing in life, especially now when everything's online, man. You can just do whatever you want, and you can. I mean, there's one of the guys on YouTube. I forget his name. What's the guy? Anyway, he's an American guy, but he was a developer for a massive company, and he just decided to up sticks, and he left and works remotely in Europe somewhere now in a cheaper city, and he loves it. So why not? I think sometimes you just got to take a chance. Cool. Am I on social sites? You know what? I really don't have an awful lot of. I don't know. I've thought about it. I thought, when you start doing something like this or whatever, you think, oh, I need to make sure I've got a Twitter. I need to make sure I've got Instagram. But I haven't really yet. I don't use them that much in my personal life, if at all. I was thinking that. I don't know. I was thinking maybe when it got a bit bigger, if there was a demand for it, I might do it. But I mean, who wants to see me tweet out rubbish? I don't know. I think it's better to have it all in one place. One thing that I thought I would do eventually, and I'm not saying I'm going to do it now, but I would probably set up a Discord server at some point, because it just gives everybody that is interested in this an actual place to talk about it. The only downside of that is that it kind of waters it down a bit. So yeah. How can we beat the speed? Oh, hi Mark, how you doing? Definitely recognise your name, mate. Welcome to the live chat. How can we beat the speed of Scrapy but using beautiful soup? Is there a way? But it basically does the same thing, so I'm not sure how one would be quicker than the other. In the end of the day, you've still got to do an HTTP request to the server, get the data back, and then transform it in something. Yes, in the Russian-speaking community, they say it is better to learn Scrapy right away. Yeah, well, I don't know. I think with all of these things, right, so Scrapy is definitely worth learning. It's good, but it's a framework, and you need to understand how each of the parts work so you can learn to build upon the framework better. I'm definitely going to do some videos on Scrapy at some point, as soon as I can. The real reason I haven't yet is that I don't actually use it that much. I know it's powerful, and I actually want to look into Scrapy Splash, which is, I believe, their JavaScript rendering thingy. Plugin, sorry, for rendering JS, yeah. Which looks really cool. But I think it works exactly the same sort of way. So you kind of just, it works the same sort of way as requests HTML, I believe. Somewhere you've got to run a browser, and whether that's on your machine or this looks like it does it over an API, then that's it. The good thing about Scrapy is that it's because it has that framework for you, you can just build upon each part of the framework that you want. So once you understand it, that's pretty cool. I'll do some beginner videos on Scrapy as soon as I can, because I think it's quite cool to know. But if you think about building websites with Python as well, most people go to Django or Flask, and that is a framework, and you build upon that, and you sort of follow its rules, and you build what you want on top of it. And Scrapy is the same sort of thing. I can't see how it would be quicker, really, depending on what you're doing. Actually, if you're scraping one site, I can't see how it would be that much quicker, if any, because you're so constricted by the speed of the request from the server. And that's where things like in Python, the concurrent futures thing comes in, because you can just do so many in one go. The Proxies video that I'm going to do, I used it. I started off not using the concurrent futures, scraping images with request HTML. Yeah, I'm sure you can do that. I haven't actually done that. I wonder if you need to do that, because are the images loaded with the JavaScript? I don't know. We can certainly look at that. I'll just finish what I was saying, which I can't remember now. Oh yeah, the proxies. I was trying to find a good set of free proxies that we could rotate through. Amazon link. I can't see anything. I can just see the words Amazon link. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe YouTube blocks it. I don't know. Because I was using the proxy site actually. This one, which is just the first one I've picked up, which is probably the one that everyone goes to when they Google free proxies. Oh, it wasn't this one. This one. So yeah, I got them all from this table. I filtered out. I read somewhere that elite proxies were better. I don't know if that's true or not. So I scraped this table, and then we had a list of proxies, and I wanted to go through them all and see if I could see how many of them actually worked for a start, because they're free proxies, and see if any of them were actually any use to us. Because obviously, if we can scrape really quick with concurrent futures, like we can go through thousands of URLs really fast, the only thing that's holding us back is the fact that the websites are going to reject us because of our IP. So we need to change that. So I tried to do that, and I found that and I kind of expected this, to be honest, but because these proxies are all free and widely available, everybody just blocks them. Everybody. So even the ones that would work on the HTTP bin IP thing, you couldn't get to Google on them. So that kind of I was hoping that some of them might, because then I thought if some of them worked, what we could do is we could take the whole list and we could see which ones actually hit a server and responded and worked, and then we could see which ones worked with Google, then we could actually have a proper list left that we could rotate through when we were web scraping. But none of them worked, so I kind of hit a sticking point there. But what I'll do is, I think I will release the first part of that video anyway, just because it's quite interesting. I thought it was quite cool scraping this table and then learning how to rotate through proxies. So if you had a list, say you were going to pay for a list of decent proxies or something, you knew how to do it. And then what I'll do is I'll spend some money and I'll see if I can actually find some that work, and we'll do a proper mass scraping exercise on a basic level, obviously, just for fun to see how it goes. Scraping images with request HTML. Cool. What website have you got in mind, or shall I just try and find one? It might be easier if you've got one that's sort of sparked that question, then I can have a look at that. We can find an answer for you there. I can't see that Amazon link, by the way, sure. I'm guessing it's blocked by YouTube. Shutterstock, oh, okay. That's probably a whole different question. So a website for photos that I guess you have to pay for these. So what, you were searching for something that you were interested in or whatever? Oh, that's probably better. Oh, that works. And then try and get all of the images. Are any of these ones actually free? Yeah, they are. Look. First port of call. Let's see what comes up here. Anything? Lots of things. Loads of things. See if there's anything interesting. Tracking. Always tracking cookies. Well, that's interesting. Probability that it's the right. Oh, that's probably advertising. Won't surprise me. Okay. That's cool. Oh, what's that one? Nothing. Cookies, metrics. Always with the ads. All right. So I guess you have to click on each one of these and then find the download button. Because if you don't do the download for free, see, it's not free, is it? Let's have a look. So you get the small versions. Yeah, even if we were, because it's all behind the login and whatnot, if we were to go for these, we could probably get this, but it would be the small version. So if we, why has that one not got a, oh, I'm in the href, not the image. So if we copy that and went here, yeah, you can only get a small version up. It's probably not that useful, and it's also watermarked. It just makes it a bit more, it just makes it so much more difficult. I mean, these sites are basically just, you know, they don't want people to be able to download them manually. What we would do for that is we would render the page. Hello, Sina, welcome. Thanks for joining in the chat. What we would do is, let's go back to, let's close some of these. Don't need those now. Leave that one. What we would do is you'd render the page and then you'd search through the HTML for all of this. So we would go this one, and then for each one of these, yeah, each one of these classes which has got this funny name on it, we would, oh, what's that one? Okay, they don't start there. Oh yeah, they do. You could like, there we go, starts here. So these all start, these classes all kind of similar. C, Z, G, we could definitely find those. And then you could just go into that, each one of those, and get down into the image tag. And I think you can just copy that. Not able to grab the source. Okay. All right, I'll have a look in that, and I'll have a look at this then. To test my memory. HTML session, I think. Let's make this a bit. There we go. I'll make it full screen. Concurrent futures module. Yeah, I talked about it last time as well. I showed it. I showed it a bit last time. I'll come back to that. I'll just see if I can find a quick and easy way to get the image source out of this. So let's go to, always go to the docs, man. Can't remember everything. So I think we want to do this. We want to render out the HTML and then find the element, and then we want to get to one of these ones. See, these ones are all like class, ID, href. And we can then narrow it down and we can get the links out with the links like this. And that should, one of these ones should end up being able to, one of these ones should end up being the image source, hopefully. That was right here. See, you don't need to remember anything. Just copy and paste. There we go. Get rid of that. Put that above. And then we'll do r.html. Render, and then we'll print. I think we can just do r.html.title. I think that works. Can you not do title? Let's change it to links, see if we're in the right place at least. Go. That's all the image. That's all of the links on the page. Okay, that's cool. Absolute links. What does this give us? Cool, that takes us to the link to the page. Everything's going to be watermarked that way. Everything's going to be watermarked every way. I guess you could do that, or we can let's do, how do we do find on this one again? It was r.html.find. That's cool. So if we go here, say each one of these is the, do they all have the same? So I'm thinking, oh look, that's similar. ZH98DB, is that the same thing? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Cool. We have source equal. Yeah, we should be able to. So let's do images equal to r.html.find. I think we can just do image. Does that work? Cool. Now we just need to do the, so we've managed to get all the images and we just want to get the right attributes, I think. So how was that again? Like this? This might work. Nope. It's ATRs or ATR? ATTRS. I think we might be close. There we go. Oh, that doesn't have the... That's interesting. So we get the class and we get the alt name for the image. We don't get the source. So we got everything else. We didn't get that. I wonder why we didn't get that. We've got all the other ones, look. We got the alt name, got the class, not the source. I'm not just missing it, am I? Weird. Oh, there we go. We did get it. Some of them don't have it. Oh, I think I know why. Okay. Can we just call it like this? There we go. So we got the first ones. You spent 4 hours on it. I'm not surprised. I've spent even longer on other things. But there we go. We've got the source. And what we need to do is because when we render the page with request HTML, it only renders the first bit of the page. So what I'm going to do is if I do come over here and we do and render is page down, I think. Scroll down. Integer if provided how many times we can scroll down. So if we close this, so when we render the page with request HTML, it just loads this up, and let's just say it can only load up this many. So if we scroll all the way down, we get down to right down to here. So I'm going to put in, I don't know how many times, but let's put in what would I say it was? Scroll down, and let's put in 10. It's going to take a lot longer because it's going to take a lot longer to do because we have to load the browser up and then we have to scroll down 10 times. Oh, what have I done wrong? How many did we get that time? Not that, the same amount. So I managed to get this many. I thought the scroll down might work. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3. Quite a few, which you could then download. And this goes down to, I wonder if that's because that's how many are actually loaded on the actual page. Was it in this one? Oh yeah. No, that one. Yes, so there's quite a few actually. There's lots. Still got the same image class. Yeah. I think we're pretty close. I would say go ahead and take what I've done here. So load the page up and try scroll down and then have a look around and see see if you can find a good way to make it load all the ones on the page. Maybe there's a better way than just going straight to this. What's the end one? Front of a sports car with your space. So we only get down to generic luxury sedan. Oh, how can I search within this? Does that work? Generic luxury. Is this working? No. Oh wow, what's all that? Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. Script type, JSON. Sorry, I'm just having a quick look. We can write these into an image, into a file. Yep, that'll work. Whenever I'm working with files, I always do. I tend to use a context manager. So with and then open or write. I think with open and then write. But yeah, absolutely. You could save them all. How useful they'll be to you, I'm not entirely sure. This is quite cool. I'm just having a look because if you guys have seen my video about what am I doing? If you guys have seen my video about JSON data in script tags, I think it might be in there as well. So that would just be another approach. So if let's go to the top and we know this one loads up, and let's take this actual URL and let's paste it into the source. That's not what I meant to do. There we go. That's quite cool as well. So make this bigger. So what we can do, and the other way might be easier. This might be quicker if we were doing lots and lots and lots. I'd have to have a quick look and see. But the video I did on getting your data out of JSON getting the JSON data out of script tags, that would work here as well. So what we're looking at is what would be returned to us if we used requests. Because it's JavaScript page, if we tried to find the tables, they wouldn't be there, or the divs, sorry, not the tables. But because this is actually here, this information is loaded up, and we can see right away that we've got, this is all JSON data, and it gives us the name, and it also gives us the JPEG link. So you could do it both ways. Getting it out of this with requests would be quicker. Definitely would be quicker, but I mean, there's a lot of them in there, so I reckon this would be the way forward. Actually, I could. What time is it? 5 to 8. I mean, I could definitely. We could have a look at that in a minute. I'm just going to answer a couple other questions, but I know you asked me that question on email, I think, actually. So love you too, man. Hopefully it's helped. Give you some ideas. You should be able to do it now. Cool. Mark asked me about the concurrent futures. Yeah. So what it does is it kind of it works well in some respect. It works well for some applications and not so well for others. So the when it works the best is when we've got a long list of URLs that we need to get some data out of, because the main limiting factor, if we've got 1,000 URLs, and I did this in my day job, I had to check nearly 1,000 URLs just to see what the status was or what the main information on that page was. When we're doing that, the main limiting factor is that we are sat around, or not we, our computer, our CPU is sat around waiting for the HTTP response to come back. So it's taking so much time because we've got to send a request, then we've got to wait for it to come back, and then we do what we need to do with the data. Then we send another one, and that's how our normal loop would work. So if we had a list of 1,000 URLs, hopefully not in your main Py file, hopefully in a CSV of which you open and read through. To do that one by one would take, 1,000 times, I don't know, how long is it, half a second maybe, so a long time. But when we put it into concurrent futures and we use the executor, what it'll do is it will manage all of the available CPU power, and it will get different threads and different parts to actually send the request first, and then it holds it in like a can't remember the word for it is now, but it holds it and then waits for the request. So basically it does them so many in one go. It's so much faster. It's not going to be, it's revolutionary for going through long lists of URLs, but for normal scraping where you just do one request, it's not going to make it that much quicker. It's if you've got to do loads. So let's use this actually as an example. So let's say we did it with the script tag. So let's say we scraped this, got the script tag, we cut out the bits that we didn't need, so that all of the bits before the JSON starts, and then we go and we get the content URL, and we get a long list. Let's say 500 content URLs. So the longest part of us downloading these images one by one will be actually sending the request and then waiting for the image to download. So we would go send one request, here it is, download the image. Even though the image is small and it doesn't take that long, that's the long part. But if we could do, let's say we had enough processing power and threads to be able to send off loads and loads and loads of requests to download loads of these images from this list, we could do all that. But what concurrent futures does is it holds it all and manages it all for us with its I think it's called executor method. So it does it all and it manages it all for us. So we don't have to think about each individual thread. So you might have heard of threading. So it's kind of similar, but it manages it all for us, so we don't have to do anything. And it will close down all of the requests as well. So if you can always you could end up leaving some of them open if you try and do it manually with threading. But so that's quite cool actually. I quite like this. I might demo that at some point as well if I can if I get a chance. But that's quite cool. But the concurrent futures video will come out probably on next Wednesday. I'm a little bit behind at the moment because I've had a lot of other things that I've needed to do, which is why there was no video on Sunday. I was feeling a bit under the weather, shall we say. Yeah, cool. So I lost my train of thought then, but I got quite excited about that. It was pretty cool. How and when should we use cookies/cookie jar? So a cookie is basically used for keeping your session alive. Cheers, Sayed. Take care to you too, man. Thank you. So a cookie is basically used for keeping your session alive. So you can do that. So if you were to log into a website automatically via whatever request or whatever, you could then save the cookie and you could replicate that session. It's not something I've done a lot of actually. I've always tended to just, if I needed to log into something programmatically, I've always just logged in, saved my session, which keeps your cookie, and then done what I needed to do and come out again. So I'd be interested to know if you had some kind of, if you had a specific thing that you needed to do for that. It's not something I've done a lot of actually with cookies. I'm just going to take a real short break. I will be back in just 2 seconds. Right, back. Cool. So has anybody else got anything else they want to ask? Oh, how to use cookies to be identified by the API endpoint when scraping? Yeah. Of course. Yeah, of course. So when you do that, it takes the cookie that your browser created. So the only problem is that it will decay. So I guess that's just what happens. What you could do, I suppose, is if it keeps working, you could copy it and then save it. But I had to first use Selenium to bring in the cookie. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. You have to do that on some of the sites. It's not the end of the world. It's not ideal, but I guess it's not a bad option if you need to. If you need to do that. Okay. When I use .class and request HTML, I get the error that the element has no attribute.text. I had to use selector. That's interesting. I had to use request the element. So you're saying that the .class didn't work, but when you use the selector or XPath, it did. Not sure I've come across any like that before. I mean, I do tend to mix up whether I'm using the selector or the class or the. I tend to not. Before I used to use the XPath a lot. I tend to use it less now. I can only assume that maybe it's not finding the class because I'm not sure. I guess if you find a way that it works, then I would stick to that. The selector is generally the best, but it depends how it comes out with. I tend to always use the some kind of like class or ID to find the div. I guess whatever works for you is cool. What is and how to handle CRF tokens? CRF token, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. CSRF token? I think you can send them with requests in your header. Yeah. So if you've got a token, you can and you're doing a request with requests, you can actually CSRF. You can do it like this. I've not actually done that before. You see, like I said at the beginning of the stream, requests is so versatile. So I think what you would need to do is you'd need to, I don't know, let's read the docs. Cross-site request forgery prevention. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, it's information that goes in the header. It sounds like something that's generated by a browser. So I guess you run into the same sort of problem. Yeah. There's lots of things like this nowadays that's to kind of stop you. I'll have a look at that actually, it's quite interesting. I know I've heard of CSRF tokens before, but I've not used them so much. Same as the cookies thing. I actually remember doing something like this when I was making a Flask website, I think. You generate it so people can't pretend to be someone else. Yeah. CSRF protection. Yeah, so the token has to match. Are you guys interested in web apps? Do you make any of your own web apps? Do you have the desire to make web apps? Do you have the desire to take your web scraping information and turn that into a web app? Or even, yeah, so what do you think about this? What do you think about using JavaScript language and libraries instead of Python? Yeah, sure, why not? I don't know JavaScript that well. I really like Python. I like the way that it works. So I tend to use that. Apparently, I still think Python is probably the best, but I know there's some guys out there that do a lot of JavaScript web scraping. It's something I probably would look into if I had some more spare time. But I don't at the moment. Exactly, it's hard scraping that website. Yeah, what website is it? There's normally an easier way. If you want to. Yes, I'm doing that actually. So I quite like. So it's really easy. Working with APIs is really easy with Python, and I find things like taking the data from a couple of different APIs and then making something out of it is quite cool. I mean, it's all sort of like interpreting the information and doing something fun with it, which I quite enjoy in a weird way. Like, let's say, possibly a bad example, but let's just take it anyway. If you got like a movie database of the IMDb API, you could like create quite a few fun, cool websites with parts of the information that come out of that, or you could then take it and then add it to something else. One of the main web apps that I made and I never actually finished because I got it to a point where it functioned enough for me, but I never completed it, was taking data from Shopify stores. I've done a video on that before, but if you go to any Shopify store and just type products.json at the end, you get the JSON data for all the products, and I started by pulling in information from several different Shopify stores and amalgamating the products into one place, and if you store all that into like a database or something, you could then have a big sort of massive load of products for loads of different Shopify stores all in one place, really easily. And that's all Python. That's all Python skills. That's all the skills that I learned from web scraping is all the same. Working with APIs. What's the difference between scraping and crawling? Crawling is like what Google bots do. The Google bot or the Yahoo bot. So like they would crawl the whole site to get a feel of what's on there. Scraping for me would be extracting. So you would go to a specific place to extract the data. JSON data is not available for every website. No, it's not. No, it's only certain ones, depending on how the website works. It usually is. If it's not an HTML website, the data has to come from somewhere, and the JavaScript is loading it from somewhere, and it comes from a server somehow, and JSON is the most common way. It's not always the case. I have found some websites that I've wanted to scrape where it's nothing. There's nothing there. It's just I've either had to do basically Selenium solutions, which I don't like doing, or go somewhere else, get the information elsewhere. But yeah, so I'd quite like to do some more videos on Flask maybe about building some fun web apps. But I'm not done with my web scraping videos yet. Still lots of those in my head and written down across various notes and notebooks that I want to go to. It's quite fun. It's quite cool actually. There was a point where I was starting to struggle for ideas of videos to make. But I think I was looking at it the wrong way. And anyone I guess that's made lots of YouTube videos probably feels the same way. I really liked your video yesterday about Google Sheets, usually the same, saving data in a web-based database. Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. So the Google Sheets one was because it's really easy and accessible to everybody. You don't have to worry about databases. You can just literally add the data to a line, and it has lots of other purposes as well. So like if you maybe you were getting a lot of data from a few different sources that you were just sharing with someone because I don't know, maybe it's your work colleague or something else like that or whatever, and then Google Sheets is a really cool way to do that. Web-based data, yeah, MongoDB. So I always tended to use SQL Alchemy with Flask. I've not actually used MongoDB, but I've looked at it before. It's pretty cool, nice and easy. So yes, I will eventually branch out into making web apps based around your API information or web scraping information. So I guess the easiest way would be to you build your web scraping scripts, you get your information, you put it into your database, and then you take that from your your web app takes from that data. Any future plan for Scrapy? Yes. Working on it. There's quite a few basic Scrapy videos out there. I'll probably do a basic one to start with and then move on to some of the other things that I've done before, but replicating them in Scrapy so we can compare. So I'll take maybe whatever one of my more popular web scraping scripts that I've done on video is, and I'll sort of do it side by side with Scrapy. So the part of the let's have a look at that actually now. Scrapy's more for crawling. I don't know. Yes and no. So basically, the point behind Scrapy is the web spiders, and they do call them kind of like crawlers. But if we have a real quick look at their first actual example, we can all read this. So you import it, and everything is a class. So the class is a Scrapy spider, and you call it whatever you want. And you have to give it a name because every class, it needs to reference to it. But you give it a URL. So let's actually think about what this is doing. So there's your URL. So URL is equal to this. It's a list in this case. Most of our cases it's not a list. Is your pass. So you take the self, which is because it's a class, and you take the response. So the response from this would be how we would do it would be R. Our requests, R is equal to request.get. The response is the R value. And then for title in response.css, that's just using a CSS selector. So we would do I'd probably do for item in soup.find, because we would put our variable going to r.content into beautiful soup to our soup. So, and then yield is basically just return. So this is the return of the function, and it creates a dictionary, with a title.css, and that's just a CSS selector. So it's just using that, and the text selector there gives us the text out of it, and the .get is just their method, and that's it. So it's basically the same thing. It's just a framework for it, and I know this is the most basic thing that they could come up with, but it does exactly the same thing. It does have a lot more options and a lot more things that you can do once you learn it, though, which is really cool. So we'll definitely get around to that. It's something I've wanted to do for a while. I've had other ideas and just haven't got around to it. But for next page, all this is doing is finding the link to the next page, and it's just clicking on the link or following the link and going to the next thing. What's this one? Terminal. Let's see if we can find another example. That was quite fun. Documentation. Tutorial. Oh, examples. Let's have a look at that. Oh. Quote spot. The other thing as well that it does give you is when we do our Python files, normally we have to run them, and we tend to in my tutorials I tend to just run them out of VS Code, but you can do it in a terminal as well just by typing in Python 3. But what it does gives you the option to do it like this, and you can sort of do like you see the O for the output, and it gives you the file, so you can specify it. You can do that normally in Python. It's called argparse. I think I said that with conviction. Argparse. So what that does, this basically lets you specify arguments that the script takes in before you run it. So if you were to think you were going to write a terminal script to scrape a URL, the first line of your code might be, URL is equal to input, please input your URL. So your script's already running before you've done that. But most Linux commands and Linux programs take arguments beforehand, and that's what argparse lets you do. But Scrapy's got that built in, so you can just do it like this. Where is the code for this example? Quote spot. Yes, it's got different files, so because it's a framework, it takes different, calls different parts of the file. The init one probably is just nothing. Okay, items. So this is just nothing. Pipelines. This is just an empty file. Settings. So I'm not in the right place. Where's the actual code? All right, not to worry. Yes, please. It seems it's powerful yet hard to learn. Yeah. If you want to start learning Scrapy on your own, you really need to know how functions work properly in Python. I remember when I was learning it, I looked at it first before I fully understood Python functions, and I was like, I have no idea what this is doing. Why does this go here? How does that work? And unless you copy the whole thing down, you don't get it. But it's all functions. Like all the functions are called from different files, and it's pretty cool. It's definitely worth getting into, and I will definitely do some videos on it. Excuse me, just a second. Cool. I don't know if using your phone whilst you're streaming is professional or not. Probably not. Hang on. I'll get back to you in just a second. Cool. A bad streamer. What if there is the same class for list of elements and we need to scrape it as a separate list? Are you saying that there are lots of elements with the same class? Is that what you mean? What do you do for a living? Do you use Python in your work? Yes, I'm not a Python developer, but I use Python in my work. A lot. Because the company I work for is based on the web. I use Python a lot to do my basic tasks that I need to do. Okay, so if there are the same class for a lot of elements, so what you need to do is, if you're you need to find all of them. So whether you're using Beautiful Soup, Find All, or Request HTML, you need to get all of them and you need to index them. So if the class is if there's loads of them, what you want to do is you need to index them. So you want to do find all or whatever and then pull your class, which we said just call it ABC, and that will return you a list of them. And then from there you would do for X in whatever your list was called. Actually, no, that's wrong. What you would do is you would then, if you save this into your variable, let's call it list. No, that's a bad name. So we had that. We found all of them. Return a list. We could then just do my class, and you would do index it like that. So that would find the first one in the list. Second one, third one, fourth one, etc., etc. Just want to suggest something. Go for it. Suggestions welcome. Unless they're extremely critical, in which case I'll take it personally and leave. No, I won't really. When extracting JSON from a page source. Oh, like I was doing with the pictures one. Takes all the elements in a single list as a single element. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what you mean with that. I find it more secure to use regular expressions. Yes, yes, you absolutely could use regular expressions to extract it. That would work as well, as opposed to using the way I suggested before, which is nice and easy, just to chop them off, rather than finding the script tag. Now, the reason why I find the actual script tag is it returns that all of the information in between the script tags. Script tag change index. Yes, well, yeah, it could do. Yeah, it could. It would, yeah. Unfortunately, if you do a lot of web scraping, websites change all the time. But yes, yeah, you absolutely could use regex. That would work as well. Yeah, that would work. That would be a good idea. The only problem is, although the format of the actual JSON code wouldn't change. So here you would want to find maybe everything that starts like this. That would work. That would probably be better, as opposed to getting this specific script tag via indexing, in case that changed. No, that's good. Yeah, that will work. Yeah, regex is a wonderful thing. You can scrape whole websites with a regex if you want to. You could set it up to find a specific thing and then go for it. It would work. I would find another Scrapy example. See if we can look through this. Spiders, classes. Let's go back to our first spider. That's what we looked at. Okay, that's just got the saving of the thing on the end as well. Storing the scrape data. You see, this is where Scrapy is pretty cool, because instead of having to write it all out to save it, you can just specify it like that. Put the output and save it. Same class for you should be able to. Are you doing it with request HTML again? It should still return two elements that match the class that you're specifying. The links don't work, I'm afraid. It doesn't load them up for me, so I can't click on them. It should still give you two elements, because there will be, unless you're doing find and only finding the first one. Where's my requests? Find. So you need, if you just do find, that will only return the first one. You need, is it find all? Or does it always do find? Oh no. Let me have a look. Find. Let's see, it returns. Yeah, so the find should return a list. Given a CS selector returns a list of element objects or a single one. So if you put the right selector in, it should give you a list of them back. I've got to go. Many thanks. No worries, man. Thank you for coming. It's nice to chat. Hopefully see you in the next one. Scrapy shell. See you later. Let's go on to Scrapy Examples. Let's have a look at somebody else's. It might be quite cool to break these down. Oh, I have no idea. I don't think I can do this one. Don't use to do anything illegal. Okay. Oh, that's no use to me. Right. I think it's nearly past, so we've been going for an hour and 25 minutes. So 5 more minutes. So if anybody else wants to ask anything for the last 5 minutes, go ahead. Or we'll just have another look at this, I think. No worries, Sarah. Thank you for coming. Thanks for asking all the questions. I appreciate that. I'm glad I helped out eventually. I'm sorry it took so long. Keep an eye out for my next video as well. Cheers. Thanks, mate. Scraping YouTube. Yeah, it's possible. I've done it before. I've got a video where I went and got the name and the URL link, the video link. Actually downloading the videos is a lot more challenging because obviously YouTube don't want you to do that. They want you to be on their platform, so that's a lot harder. Or if you want to do specific stuff to your videos, there is a YouTube API which you can manipulate to. If you've seen any of the videos where they do that thing where they change the title to the number of views, that's using the YouTube API. I'm pretty sure Corey Schaefer's done a cool video on that recently. He goes super in depth, like really in depth. So yeah, cool. I'm going to knock it on the head there then. Thank you to everybody who's joined, and thank you for asking so many great questions. More videos coming soon. There's one out on Sunday, which I've done already, which is about scraping yellow pages, which was really cool. It's a bit longer, but it's a bit more detail. So make sure you catch that one when it comes out. Be Sunday night for me, so 7 o'clock ish Sunday evening UK time. I think it should be quite cool. I think it might be quite a good one. And then I've got Scrapy ones coming in the pipeline, which I think will be quite popular. And also concurrent futures, which will be interesting for some people. And we'll have a look at proxies as well. All of that to come. And I'll probably do another live, hopefully next week. I'll try and keep it going every week. And we'll see if it proves popular. Then we'll keep it doing. But I quite enjoy doing it at the moment. So thank you very much for everyone. And hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.